All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for this special workshop. My name is Brigitte Limford. I'm excited to introduce our special guest speaker. For today, we've got Megan Stoddard on. And Megan is a master. I'm going to read this bio because it's so perfectly written and laid out there. Megan is a master certified life coach. She is a personal trainer, and she is trained and certified in neuro-linguistic programming, and she will correct me on this to pronunciate that correctly. She's a clinical hypnotherapist and specializing in, also trained in human design. I'm butchering this, but she knows her shit here. Human design, time techniques, and EFT. This call, she offered and said, hey, I have these various things I can work on. The one that I'm most familiar with myself is EFT. So I'm so grateful that she's willing to do this call. She is a former professional dancer. Her love for the human body is what drew her into Beachbody. And in 2019, she left the company to pursue life coaching. She's a wife and mother to three beautiful children and one sweet angel baby. She was born and raised in Idaho and now lives living surrounded by her family back in her hometown of Burley. So, Megan, without further ado, I will go ahead and switch the time over to you.
Hi, thank you for that. I appreciate it. This is so much fun. Um, I haven't had the opportunity to do any live EFT sessions for like a year or so, and I have missed it. So this is a real treat for me, honestly. I love getting to do these. Um, so I mean, and honestly, you did not butcher it. You did great. Uh, and I will say too, I should have just said NLP. Most people are familiar with the term NLP, but the fancy term, it sounds fancy when you say it, the full thing. It's neuro linguistic programming. Anyways, it's fun. I love it. It's pretty amazing. And EFT is kind of like a branch of it because neuro linguistic programming is the language of the mind. And EFT can work with, I use NLP while I do EFT to really make it like extra transformative. It's so cool. It's so cool. I geek out every single time. But we're not going to get into all that today. I just want to about EFT. So I know that you're both familiar with it, but I know that there's people who are planning on catching the replay. So I want to just share a little bit about what EFT is and how and why it works. Because I had heard of it. I had heard of it several years ago, but I didn't really get it. I was like, you just you just tap on your forehead and your life changes. Okay, that's weird, but okay. And then I learned what it actually is and was like, oh, get it. I get why it's so cool. Okay. So which it stands for emotional freedom technique. And so it's a therapy technique. Disclaimer as well, I'm not a licensed medical provider in any way. So of course, always refer to a doctor if needed. But it is a therapy technique loosely based on like acupressure, those kinds of points. It uses those same basic energy meridians in the body to where we address and then eliminate mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, energy challenges, all the things. It can work. Like the mantra that I've always heard with it was use it with everything, literally everything. I have used it with my kids a lot. I've used it on myself for like literally everything. I've used it with my acne. I've used it with like my PTSD. So like surface level and deep. It can literally work for anything. And the reason why I wanted to do this is first of all to help everyone in the moment right now, but I also want to teach it in a way where you guys can learn how to do this on your own moving forward as well. Because it's potent and honestly so simple once you understand how it works. And something that I thought was cool when I learned about it too, it was learning that it's based on an actually like a much more complex version of this. It's called TFT or thought field therapy. Um, but that one you had to do like a ton of muscle testing to figure out which point to tap on to address the specific problem. But then someone who got certified in TFT, he learned more about it and realized, oh, we can just tap on all of these points every single time, like these specific points, which I'll show in a minute, and that will address every single one. So sometimes when we're doing it, maybe this is the point, maybe this is the only one that you need, but we don't need to take the time to determine that. We can just go through all the points, hit them all, and you're gonna get the one that you need. So super efficient. Um, okay, and so how EFT works. We're going to be tapping on different points of the body to move energy. And an analogy that really helped me understand it was to imagine a TV. So imagine, you've got your TV, your nice, you can go vintage and think about your big old box TV or, your nice big flat screen. And imagine your kid decided to dink around with it. They turn it around, they open up the back of it, and they see all the wires, the circuit board, all that stuff, right? And they got a screwdriver. They just, because why not? They just decide to jam it in there. Because sure, right? And of course, immediately the picture on the screen fizzles out. It just like, maybe it's still a little bit clear or it completely just blacks out. Regardless, you cannot see the picture clearly at all because it's short circuited. That's the same thing when you're experiencing any kind of challenging emotion, challenging situation. Your energy short circuits inside of your brain, inside of your body, making it much harder for you to think clearly, to see clearly, to be able to feel like yourself. Everything just short circuits. And something else to note as well, anyone who knows me, who has followed my work at all, knows that I do not believe in negative emotions. There's no such thing as a negative emotion. Emotions are neutral. There's not good or bad. They are all so necessary to this human experience. They are all beneficial. They all are here for us to learn something from it. There's just a whole spectrum. Some are more pleasant, some are less pleasant, for sure. But there's none of them are negative or bad. So I would implore you, anytime you hear someone talk about a negative emotion, they have the best of intentions. I'm not here to poo-poo on anyone. I would just encourage you to replace that word negative with challenging or unpleasant or not super fun or just super uncomfy. That's going to help us not judge the feelings. So that's going to be one step, is to not judge the feelings, just to notice it. Okay. And the thing too is that challenging situations, which is kind of what we're addressing here, is a challenging situation that we have all been dealt, right? We all perceive these situations through challenging thoughts and challenging emotions. That's what makes a situation challenging. Because honestly, I've actually heard some other people talking about this situation with Beachbody very excited. Some people are very excited about this change. So it really is about our perception of it. So right now, and one is not better than the other at all. Once again, we're not judging how we're feeling about this. So the way that we look at a situation is what creates that situation. So for those of us who are looking at the situation as challenging, it's because of our thoughts and our feelings around it, which is why we're here. So then those challenging emotions, those challenging situations, that's what causes the disruption in your energy and in your nervous system. That's what causes our personal short circuit. We are all familiar with this feeling. We know what it feels like to short circuit energetically, emotionally, mentally, where your brain just like stops functioning. You just can't, like, I don't know, something happened and I just am not the same as I was 5 minutes ago. Nothing has gone wrong. It's literally just a check engine light, just a moment to just get curious. Oh, something shifted inside of me. Let's figure out what it was. So curiosity and creativity, those are two of the tools that I use the most with my clients. Because when we get curious about what we're experiencing, get curious about our thoughts, get curious about our feelings, that removes the judgment from the equation. There's no room for self-shame. There's no room for labeling it with good or bad. We just get curious, and that's how we get to work with it. That gives us, that puts on our work gloves and lets us work with the material that we have. Okay. And then, so once we notice this, right? Once we recognize that check engine light, we put on our curious hat to bring things back into a more pleasant balance. We just have to we have to tune into the energy of the perceived problem. We have to tune into the challenge and bring things back into balance by addressing it and acknowledging it, which a lot of us like to avoid. It's so much easier to ignore a problem in the moment. Long term, it's way harder, makes our lives way harder when we ignore it. But in the moment, it can feel a lot easier to just say, it's fine. I'm gonna just put that on the shelf back here, and I'll deal with it later. Right now, I'm just gonna go read a book. I'm just gonna go scroll through TikTok. I'm just gonna go eat a Snickers, which sometimes is fine. I will say that. Again, it's not good or bad. It's just noticing. But when we're ready to bring things back into balance using EFT, we have to actually address it. We have to acknowledge it. And then through the process of EFT, So we address and acknowledge it through EFT, and then we go in and infuse it with love and acceptance and acknowledging other things that are also true, but more conducive to the feelings and the reality that you would rather be experiencing. Because two things can be true at the same time. We could be going through something super sucky and awful and miserable, and also recognize things that are good and see different perspectives that are available to us right now. So, Brigida mentioned earlier that I am also a certified expert in human design. I don't know if anyone on this call will ever be familiar with it. I know I've talked to Alma about it a little bit, but just in case anyone is familiar, one of my gifts in my human design chart is that I have a completely open ajna. And for those not familiar, basically what that means is I'm able to see all the perspectives all the time. I can see why someone else would choose something, even if I don't agree with it. I'm really good at seeing why they would make that decision or why this other thing can be true. So that's one of the gifts that I'm bringing to you is to be able to see all the different potential realities and current realities that are true for us. That's one of the reasons why I'm really good at EFT is to be able to bring all those perspectives in so that you can take those in as well without negating the challenges that you're going through. Because this can be true still, but when we fill it up, when we fill up your reality with the other things that are more enjoyable, that you would rather focus on, then this doesn't seem like such a big deal. This doesn't have to define you. This doesn't have to make everything awful. Okay. I kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there. Let me look back at my notes. Okay, so basically, step one is to acknowledge and accept. So, I mean, I've kind of gotten a little bit of a pulse by looking through the group a little bit, but if you guys have any thoughts that you want to share in the chat or if you want to unmute yourselves or anything, I'd love to know any thoughts or feelings that you've been struggling with over the last few days or week. I have taken a few notes that we can go through, but, or Brigitte, if you've gotten a pulse on any other things that have come up for people that they're struggling with, I'd love to hear it.
I think there's been people feeling distracted. Well, not distracted, but like um pulled in multiple directions. Like I think people are like, well, I want to do this, but then still do the affiliate and then still feeling like they have clients. So kind of feeling pulled in different directions. I don't know the right emotion necessarily to define that. Um, I know for myself, the emotions depend on like the moment of the day. So I feel like I'm still going through a roller coaster and feeling several emotions of like, I do feel a sense of relief and excitement for the future. Also, just grief, over
Mm-hmm.
uh, that. And then a personal betrayal that I feel with corporate. So there's, some anger too, rage.
Yeah,
But
thank you. And I've heard a lot of people talking about stress as well. I'm gonna write that down. Alma, do you have anything that you want to share? It's okay if not, no pressure.
Everything what Brigida said. Confused, stress,
Confused.
not sure where to go, which way to go. So everything that Brigida said. Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, not fun, but perfect. Okay. And then, I mean, honestly, that gives us so much to work with, which is, this might be weird to say, but it's so fun. This is going to be so fun. Okay. And then from there, again, totally optional. If not, I've got places we can go. But if you have feelings and circumstances that you would rather be experiencing, a place to take this, you can share that as well. How would you rather be feeling? What would you rather experience as you go through all of these circumstances?
I think for me, if I felt clarity, but also just like an empowerment. And um, for me, I feel the last several years within Beachbody and trying to continue to rebuild and not be successful in the way that I wanted to, I've taken a hit in my self-confidence. And so I I know that I've felt that way in the past, like self-confidence in the sense of business, like self-confidence altogether. Like I actually think I'm a pretty cool person. I like myself. Like I'm confident in a lot of other aspects of life. But when it comes to business and coaching and that side, I want to feel confident and have just full clarity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alma
Cool.
says
And Alma says, yeah, clarity as well, for sure. That was the first thing that came up when I was thinking about that too. So clarity will probably be the main thing there for sure. Um, cool. Okay. That gives us some great things to work with. So that's what we'll focus on. Um, okay. So as we go through this, um, okay, so first we're going to do what's called the setup point, which just pick a hand. It doesn't matter which hand, but just on the side, that like fleshy part right there on the side of the hand, that's where you'll tap to help us set up. And then I'll go through all the rest of the points, but the you don't want to bruise yourself. So the amount of sure, it's just like if someone was ahead of you in line at the grocery store and you needed to get their attention, that's all you need. Just enough to feel it, just enough to get your attention. It doesn't need to be crazy. So don't hurt yourself here. It can be gentle and loving and just attentive enough. And then once we're done with the setup, then we'll go through all of the tapping points. So, and every EFT practitioner that you work with will do it slightly differently. So this is the way that I like to do it. I like to use both hands. You can just use one hand if you prefer. Totally fine. I like to do two, and I start at the top of the head. And the thing that I will say too is you'll kind of feel where it is for you. Like some people will do it like further down. For me, it's more like right in the center of my scalp right there. Some people it's more further forward. Be kind of intuitive in this. Trust your body. Know that you'll know what it feels like, where it feels correct for you. So top of the head is the first point. And again, you can just follow me. You don't have to have this memorized. So, but there's the first one. The second one is the eyebrow area. Again, some people will do it right in between the eyebrows, some like just somewhere around there. Feel out where it is for you. For me, it's right about there. And you can use one finger, two fingers, the whole hand, whatever. Again, be intuitive about this. You know your body better than anyone. So the eyebrows is the next one. And then right next to the eyes, like on the temples, will be the next one. So find your spot. And then underneath the eyes, again, find where it feels good for you. Right there's for me. And then underneath the nose, right there. Then the chin, again, find where it feels good and correct for you. And then the collarbone, so right underneath the collarbone. For me, actually, this one moves for me. Sometimes it's more in the middle, sometimes it's further out. So play around. You can't do it wrong. So play around, let it be an experiment. And then the rib cage. So for my ladies, it's like right where your like bra will hit usually ish, roughly, right? So it's rib cage. And also I usually switch sides every time I go through. So if you see me switching, you can stick with one side or you can switch back and forth too. There's no right or wrong there. And then we do our wrists together, just like that. And then we just keep going through. I don't know how many cycles we'll go through this round. I just do it intuitively. So we'll see where we land with all of it. So the way that we're going to do this is first, we're going to acknowledge the challenging stuff, the challenging feelings. We got to bring those up to the surface to let them have a voice, because the thing with challenging feelings is that they need to be heard. They need to be felt in order to be processed. It's just like I always say, it's just like with having a child. I think particularly about my middle child. She will keep saying my name and poking me and saying my name over and over and over again, repeating the same thing over and over again until I will finally acknowledge her. She doesn't just say my name once and wait. She will keep saying it until she is heard. It's the same thing with our feelings. They need to be heard and addressed before they can go on their way and go play with their friends. So we're going to bring those up. So as we're tapping through this, close your eyes if you would like. It's really important that you feel these feelings. Don't just say the words, but feel the feelings. And if there's any verbiage that I use that doesn't quite resonate with you, feel free to reword it for yourself. Okay. Okay. And we're just going to go through this. I'm just going to go all the way through. Sometimes I will go through the challenging emotions first, pause. And I don't know, I might do that, but sometimes if we're just in a really good flow, I'll just immediately go right into the higher vibrational ones. So we might do it one way or another. For those watching the replay, if at any point you need to pause and check in with yourself, also make sure you've got some water, because that is also really important. Just like when you go get a massage or anything, you're going to want to drink lots of water during/after this. Okay. I think that was everything that I needed to share. Are there any questions before? I mean, you guys both are familiar with this, so probably no questions. Okay. All right. And if I lag out at all, please leave a little comment. I'm hoping my internet is going to keep sticking out. Okay, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and start here on the side of the hand. So just tap where I tap, say what I say. A lot of things have been happening lately. A lot of decisions have been made, and it feels like they've been made without my consent, which is a really unsettling feeling. Things feel confusing and upsetting. And sometimes I'm a little bit angry about it. Sometimes I'm a lot bit angry about it. And it's given me a lot of confusion. And I've had a lot to think about, which is exhausting. And it has not been very fun. It doesn't feel good when I feel like choices are made for me without me. I feel like I'm being pulled in so many different directions. And again, I was not prepared for this. It doesn't feel fair. And I'm really, really frustrated about this. And even though I am going through this really crappy thing, sometimes I may not be handling it very well. Even though all of this is going on, I still love myself. Even though sometimes I'm experiencing anger more than I would like, even though I'm going through this weird grieving process, I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself. Okay, let's start at the top of the head. This grieving process has been weird. It feels like it just came out of the absolute blue, came out of nowhere. And I'm not really, I didn't feel prepared to handle this. Kind of feels like my legs just got swept out from underneath me. And I didn't even know I was in a wrestling ring. I feel some rage. Because maybe if I had known that I was even in the ring, I would have been better prepared. Maybe if I knew that these conversations were being had, I could have been part of this conversation. Even if I couldn't have swayed in any of the decisions, some notice would have been nice. So it's kind of a lot to deal with, as if life wasn't giving me enough already. So I'm angry. And sometimes that anger gets masked by other things like stress or confusion or fear. And I feel like there's so many different directions that I could go, and I don't know which one to take. Like, I know that the world's at my fingertips. I know that in this day and age, there's so many things I could do. But, like, how do I know which one is right for me? I thought I had my path. I thought everything was already clearly laid out before me. So, what do I do now? I had all these clients, I had all these things set in place, and I don't even know how to take care of them now. Do I keep taking care of them, or do I just completely cut off and move on? I'm really upset that I have to answer all these questions. And I just feel really stressed, again, on top of all the other life things. There's a lot of confusion that is just swirling around my brain, and quite frankly, it is exhausting. And because these decisions were made that so greatly affect my life, because they were made without me, there's definitely a layer of betrayal that I feel, whether I've been willing to really admit this feeling or not. I feel hurt and betrayed by people that I thought had my best interest at heart. And that really sucks. And through this process, again, I thought that I had everything figured out. I thought that everything made sense. I thought my future was pretty secure. And because that's all been kind of taken away, it's given me a little bit of a hit to my confidence as a coach, as a business owner. I find myself wondering if I can be successful like this again. Is it possible for me to continue as an entrepreneur when I didn't see something like this coming? Maybe I find myself blaming myself a little bit, thinking that I should have been better prepared for this. Like I said, it's a weird process of grief. Because how does one go about grieving their business? And I'm not sure that I'm handling the stress of it very well. Maybe sometimes. But again, I felt so unprepared for this that I could probably be handling it better. It's impacting other areas of my life because how could it not? And even though I'm experiencing all of this confusion and rage and grief, all those things, I still deeply and completely love and accept and forgive myself. And you know what? I think I might even be able to forgive other people as well. Maybe not quite yet, but it's there. I can see it as an option at least, and that feels freeing. Because I know that other people can make decisions and have it impact my life, and I still am in charge of my life. The world really is at my fingertips. I have everything available to me right now. And I also know that if I was successful once in any capacity, I know how to be successful again because my success is not tied to one entity. I am a successful human. I wasn't just a successful Beachbody coach. And knowing that I get to keep all of my internal resources with me, that makes every little minute of it worth it. Because no one can take away my confidence. No one can take away my personality. No one can take away my dreams, my desires, my gifts. Those are all mine. And those are the things that brought me joy and happiness in this business. So I'll take those with me. And I may not have all the answers yet, but I don't need them right now. The answers that I need will come to me as I need them. If I look at my life as it is right now, I didn't have all the answers 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, or even a year ago. So I know that truth comes a little bit at a time, and my answers will come in due time. I have absolutely everything that I need to live a successful, happy life. And yeah, there are so many different things that I could go and I can do. And I could go play with them all at once if I want to. Or I could just pick the one that sounds the most fun to me right now and go play with it and just see what happens. There's literally no pressure for it to look any certain way. I have all the freedom in the world. I've got no one telling me what I have to do or what I can't do. I can go do things however I want. And that's actually super exciting. The whole world is my playground now, baby. And it is just, that's actually the coolest. I'm actually kind of excited moving forward. There's some relief around this situation. And I'm going to lean into that because I've learned the things that I'm really good at. And maybe I haven't leaned into those as much as I maybe could have over the last however long. I think I'm going to lean into those. I'm going to lean into what works for me and make them bigger. And we'll just see what happens. It gets to be so much fun. I'm just going to look at all of this as an experiment and a playground. I'm just going to play with things like a kid. I don't know how long it's been since I've done that, but I think this is my sign to do that now, to just play. And I know that everyone around me has their own accountability, has their own responsibility. They are their own human beings and they get to make their own choices. I am not responsible for them or their reactions to anything that I may or may not do or say. All I know is that I get to do what is right and correct and feels good for me. And that's going to have a positive impact on the world, regardless of what the decisions are. And that gets to be enough. So even though I was having this struggle earlier, and even though the situation hasn't gone away, I can do this. And things get to be so much better moving forward. And so it is. Take a deep breath, drink some water. I'm going to drink some water. How are we feeling?
Isn't there like some kind of thing going on when you're yawning? Because I'm like, I'm
Yes,
not even actually tired. I'm like, all of a sudden I was like, I'm yawning.
I know. I forgot to mention that earlier, and then I saw you yawning. I'm like, yeah, things are happening. Yeah, yawning is a huge sign that the energy is shifting and moving. And yeah, shifts happened just now for you for sure.
It was cool, like just hearing your empowering statements and you kind of talking through that. I'm like, you're very intuitive for sure. Like it was cool. I don't know. I
Good.
feel like I should,
Um,
well, have it recorded. So I'm like, I need to
yeah,
write a lot of those things down.
yeah. And I mean, the nice thing with EFT too is that you can literally do it so many times a day. There's no limit. You can just do it over and over again. So, because something that we can do too is, I forgot to mention this earlier too. I'm not always good at remembering this when I even do it with my clients, but if you like rate yourself on a scale from 0 to 10, how intensely you're feeling a feeling. So, like, if like tomorrow you're thinking about the situation again and you find yourself back in rage, rate that rage from a scale of 0 to 10, go through this tapping and rate it again. And the lower you get that number, you can go through this until it's down to 0. So, that can be just a good way to kind of gauge where you're at with it all and keep moving that energy.
I love it.
And I also, I wasn't sure if I was going to offer this, but I would like to, just in case there's anyone else who would like a little bit of personalization. I haven't done this in a few years, but if anyone wants to do like a personal EFT coaching session with me, I would just do like a donation based. If anyone wants to just do a little like 30 minute EFT coaching session with me, that would be fun. I know a lot of people have missed out on the customization aspect of it.
Well, that is really generous of you to offer. Thank you so much. And I actually would love for you to let everyone know just how to work with you. Like, what are the things that you offer? Because I know that you do a few various things. And so just kind of how can people work with you? Where can they find you? Give
Yeah.
us your spiel.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my place to hang out is always Instagram. I'm always chatting with people over there. That's my favorite place to play. So I'm the Megan Stoddard over on Instagram. And so I've simplified my stuff. I always, if people come to me and there's something specific that they want to work with me on, I often will just do it. But right now, my main offer is I'm doing a private 12-week coaching program called Health by Design, where I utilize human design, EFT, hypnotherapy, all the things that I use, right, along with my personal training. And I do very custom, like all the plans. Sometimes it's specific workouts. Sometimes I have clients who are happy with the workouts that they're doing, but they need to focus on their nutrition or like all the things. I do it from all the different angles, but basically I create a custom blueprint map where I coach them through weight loss or strength gains or gut health, skin health, all those things. I do a 12-week private coaching program where I take people through that. So that's my main focus right now.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, I also do have a free, I keep forgetting this. I've got a free human design health report that people can check out too if they want to learn more about their human design.
That's awesome. I've kind of dived into it a little bit, but not in the, I know I'm not taking advantage of the knowledge that is there to the full capacity. So I'm
Fun.
definitely always wanting to learn more about that for sure.
It's so fun. I will always, if anyone wants to message me, I will always geek out about human design. It's so fun.
Awesome. Well, Megan, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today and for leading that. I feel like, I mean, I do. I'm like, I feel a lot is coming out in just the yawning, and I wasn't tired getting on this call. I, in fact, had energy before this. So I'm like, no, I'm not tired. I'm just like receiving the energy and definitely feeling it and gonna play this back so I can write down some of these phrases that you were saying and remind myself of that. And I just appreciate your wisdom and your generosity and intuition. So thank you so much for offering to do this call and for sharing your light with us. It's much appreciated.
Thank you so much for letting me do this. This was such an honor.
Thank you.